Thank you. And now for the reason really for the special meeting was the approval of the gold engineering. You there, Mayor?
I am.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Sheila, when Sheila sent me the call-in number, it was 791, not 761. So thanks for your text, Bill.
Oh, no problem. All right, we just opened the meeting. We did public participation. We just approved the minutes of the March 21st special meeting, and now we're going to discuss the gold engineering proposal.
Thank you.
As I stated, I think Jeremy did a good job identifying this at our last meeting and making sure that everybody understood it. I think it's exactly as we stated it. Nothing's changed, so basically we didn't want to rush anybody just bringing it up at the third meeting and ask for approval then, so we figured we'd have a special meeting during the workshop and go ahead and give everyone a chance to review it and then go ahead and approve it. So with that said, I would ask for an approval of the gold engineering proposal.
So moved.
Second?
Does anybody have any questions, any discussion on this?
I appreciate the fact you let us spend some time with it before.
No, that's what, I think we received it that day also, so.
Oh, okay.
So we were expecting it, and we had discussions going back and forth with John Gold, whose engineering firm it is, and I know that you guys are very familiar with him,
Yep.
and we're very happy and excited that we've got him to go ahead and do this for us.
He'll do a good job.
So, with that said, I'd look for approval of the proposal and the
Yes.
resolution.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Yes.
All right. That said, Mayor, any comments or questions?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to number 3, discussions now. Dual sand project, Suez has completed it. They're off-site. 4 out of the 5 filters are operational. The 5th filter had its first test today. It's got to go through its 2 coliform tests. So first test is today. Hopefully that'll pass tomorrow, and then we'll do the second test tomorrow, and then hopefully by Wednesday that'll pass, and then we can put that into operations, and we'll be back on all 5 filters. So that project is completed. Everything went very well. Suez did a great job. So, we continue with the
So it's
Butler.
the first time since it was built that we've redone the filter system.
Correct.
Really good service.
Yeah, no, and we learned a lot from emptying them, so we saw what shouldn't have been done and what needs to be done and where to be done. So,
Good.
so we've learned some stuff from that. So hopefully, this was about 20 years, so hopefully we'll get another 20 plus years out of this sand and things of that nature.
Hopefully.
And we have additional things that over the years the staff has learned how to chemically treat them and keep them cleaner and things like that. So not necessarily a lot of manual and air lancing and things like that. So hopefully we'll be able to
Plus
get more.
the ceiling painting too, that would have been a pretty clumsy project with.
Oh no, the ceiling paint it was huge, and I
Yeah.
think in the past, and again, learning from years of experience and stuff, they used to use a lot of chlorine, so it pitted the roof quite a bit. So hopefully we've eliminated a lot of the chlorine and gone some other chemicals that don't give you that when you walk in you weren't hit by the pool
Yeah.
smell. So on item 2, we're going to go to the Butler intake bridge. We're still working on that. I think BOCES has all of the bridge components together. Now we're trying to see if we can get them up there to put them, install them, and then they've run into some issues where a lot of the students have testing now, so it's run into a lot of scheduling conflicts. So we're trying to work that out and see if we can get them up there. As I said last time, Tom's crew did a good job of making the road passable because there were a lot of soft spots in it. So we're in the process of doing that. The only thing we have left is probably trying to get in once it gets dry, because right now we got a lot of water running through the spillway, is doing the underside of the steel supports. And once that dries up a little bit, we'll be able to get in there, scrape off all that, and repaint it as you saw the last pictures.
Will you do that house?
We'll do that in-house. So, we just spoke about the electrical system analysis. Hopefully that'll begin in June once it's passed our board. Now it's got to go to the Common Council and then get a contract signed by Gold Engineering, and we'll commence with that The switch work was completed on Monday, last Monday. They did a good job. Now we're capable of going between the two different legs. And then I guess you were familiar with Gus too. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So they did a good job. Chris, anything else on that?
We also got the blower number 1 operational again. Gus had the part that was required to fix it. The other company we're going through was giving us delay after delay, and we got it for about half the cost of what it was going to cost us from the other company.
Yes, I think.
So that blower is operational.
Yeah, we were looking at, that was the number 1 blower, correct, Chris?
Yes.
And we were looking at, we had a fault in one of the components that protected the motor, and it's been down since, what, December?
Yes.
So we ordered it right away. We were told that it would be delivered May 2nd. We asked several times if that schedule was still firm, and they said yes, yes. When we called on the Friday before, the gentleman that was supposed to do it was on vacation. He got back to Jason, said there's been a delay, so we weren't very happy. So we tried to go around a couple other ways of looking at putting the blower back online. Gus came in and did his work, and I guess Jason mentioned to Gus that we had this situation with the blower. He went over and looked at it. He says, "Oh, I have one of those in my shop."
Sounds like us.
So the next morning he was here with it and put it in, installed it, and the blower was up and running within like an hour from Gus being here. So we were very fortunate. And again, if we had known that, we could have had it back online December. And we will check with Gus from now on. The clarifier project is the next Suez master project agreement. We spoke about that. So they've commenced ordering some paint. There was a go-between between Tnemic and Sherman-Williams. Very similar products, very effective products. Tnemic, as a lot of things are now, with an extremely long lead time. Sherman-Williams had the product available, so we're going to go with the Sherman-Williams product, and that should be commenced. And hopefully, what I've been told is we have the same crew that did the water treatment plant. That was very good. They were very good. They'll be here to do the work on our clarifiers. I think I showed you pictures of the rotating scum pipes that are here on site. I know Chris and Jason have spoken about taking the tanks down and installing those, because you have to have 2 tanks down to install them too, basically, because then you have to plug off one end so that the water doesn't spill on you. So we'll be looking at going ahead and scheduling that up. Just a little update: the gravity belt thickener materials availability hopefully will be late summer. We keep talking to BDP to make sure that we're still in the scheduling mode, and we're still on schedule to receive that by the fall. Again, hopefully we will be. BDP is a fantastic company. I worked with them on my other project too, and I said I'd love to have them do every piece of equipment I had, because they're very good. So hopefully, they're not, because it's basically their vendors that they're at the mercy of too. So hopefully they can get everything they need to do that. The last item, the Wilkie intake, we're doing some repairs on that, some underground work. There are some check valves to relieve the pressure from underneath the intake that were operating properly. We have all the materials. Tom Washburn's coming in. He's going to replace them for us. So the intake, unfortunately I didn't get the pictures. The intake is down. It's probably about 70% cleaned. Hopefully, hopefully we'll be in there by Wednesday and Thursday doing that, and then that'll be up and running and back online.
Is that a one-day project?
Hopefully. Plus, hopefully he has the 2 check valves to replace, so we'll pull them out and drill a couple new holes to go ahead and put them in. And then there's a couple spots in the gunite that we're going to look at repairing, because the gunite in all 3 intakes is getting worn, so we're going to have to at some point look at that too. With that said, that's the end of A part of the discussion. Part B, chemical bulk storage inspection. We had an inspection by the DEC. They come in, they look at everything that has to do with all your chemicals, your storage areas, the containment, making sure everything's properly marked, making sure everything's up to grade, and so that you have all the values of percentages of chemicals and what they are, how many gallons are held, where the intakes are for when you offload them, and all of that nature. A couple minor things that they wanted us to do, but other than that we passed. So, and everything's hunky-dory at least for another 2 years.
Can I ask a question about that? Just
Sure.
of my own curiosity. Reading that line item made me think of general supply issues and paths and lines, and I assume that you can't just buy all the chemical you need for the next 100 years because it'll go bad or not practical or whatever. How exposed are we or any water purification operation to that volatility?
Yeah.
What's that like?
All the volatility is real.
Yeah.
Chemicals have, I think I've spoken to it, 20-30% increases in the price. The availability seems to be there.
It does,
I haven't seen
okay.
yet. So I haven't seen anything on availability, and there's several different chemical manufacturers that manufacturers, whether it's the hypochlorite or the sequestering agent or our coagulant. So Ricky Smith did a good job. He did some research and was able to get our coagulant for the year, and by getting it for the year supply, it saved us about $3,000. So,
That's good.
and who knows, it could be more because if that price increased during the year. So he was able to get a couple of big carboys that were delivered here actually, because we had the ability to offload them. He doesn't have that up there. But so what we can do is we load it on one of our mason dump bodies, bring it up there, and he offloads it right into the tank.
With how lo-fi or old school is the purification in general? Is there a point where nothing gets added? It just goes through a sand pile and then we boil?
No,
Or,
there's
like-
always there's always chlorine disinfection.
But if we didn't have that,
You need that's a regulated thing. You need to have a certain amount of disinfection, and that's what you do
Yeah.
the coliform test for that to make sure that you're getting the disinfection. Plus, you need the chlorine out in the distribution system to make sure that you're getting that kill. And the coliform test is an indicator. It's called coliform. An indicator organism. So if you have a lot of coliform in there, it's an indicator that you probably have some pathogens. So if you have a low count of coliform, it means most of the pathogen organisms are being destroyed by the chlorine, by the hypochlorite.
So would that trigger a shutdown or a depressurization of the system if we didn't have the stuff to put it out into the system?
If you didn't have a residual and you did a test and you had a high coliform count, yes, that could trigger a boil ordinance.
Oh, so we'd still keep pushing. It would just boil is when that would kick in to deal with that.
Well, we'd have to ask the residents to boil their water and not use it at all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that
No,
situation.
yeah, I was wondering how far away is it? How many steps away? Because
No,
whoever
but-
thought you couldn't
but
get formula for
you're
your
right.
baby,
You're right too, in the hypochlorite, because we use hypochlorite, we don't use gaseous chlorine, because that's an extremely hazardous chemical. The hypo has a shelf life of like 30 days, half-life, so you keep having to fill those. That's one of the chemicals that he has to continuously get use of. So
Thank you.
we don't use massive amounts, but he does have probably, I think, a 2,000 gallon tanks that he uses. And then we're probably going to look at getting away from, because we do what we call pre-chlorinate and post-chlorinate. So we have to chlorinate it when it goes out in the system, and we have to chlorinate it before it comes into the sand, so we kill the pathogens. So there's other oxidizers that can do that. So you also have what they call disinfection byproducts, which are supposed to be good for human consumption. So you try to keep the chlorine down as low as you can, the level. So we're going to try to go ahead and get rid of the post-chlorination and use some permanganate or peroxide, which is a different type of oxidizing agent that will do away with the disinfection byproducts that are done by chlorine or the hypochlorite.
Okay. Thank you.
With that, that's the last part of my discussion. Monthly reports. Does anybody have any questions on the monthly reports?
Mm-hmm. Uh,
I have a question on the pump station calls.
Yes.
Was there 33
Yeah.
was a mistake?
Yeah, that's high. We've had some issues there with some VFD issues and some pump issues. That's also one of the pump stations where, as we were doing and cleaning the water filters, all the water that was disposed of from the water filters and cleaning them was going down through Webster. So there was a lot of capacity. Tom, do you have anything to add to that?
Webster's always springtime, snow melt, and as Bill was saying, that's where the pump station gets all the rejected water from the treatment plant. So history repeats itself in this time of year. Now it's calmed down. In fact, last night we got one on Henry Street, which was a surprise. So that was one we got yesterday.
And I think I got a little ahead of myself. We had one more resolution,
Yeah,
and
I
that
was
was,
gonna say.
yeah, and that was it was a correction of a previous resolution for the grit. And Chris, there was a question about minimum of 16 tons. Do we go over 16 tons every year?
Yeah, the minimum 16 tons is for their haul. So when we load it, we load generally around 20 tons every time, 3 loads of 20 tons. If I don't have 60 ton total, I don't call till I do.
Okay.
So they just want to have a minimum in there due to fuel costs and manpower costs.
Thank you.
So with that resolution, what I would move with approval of the correction of the resolution for the 28-22 for off-site grit and screening hauling services.
I have a question. How often do you do this?
How often do we haul the grit, Chris?
5 to 6 times a year,
Oh, yeah.
depending on the construction on the road and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what's removed out of our preliminary system. That's all the heavy materials, sand, eggshells, rock, anything that comes in that is caught in our screens or in our grit chamber, so that it doesn't get to the rest of the facility where it can wear out parts, pumps, and
If
get
there's
caught.
a sewage spill on the road, that material that has contacted sewage also comes down here for grit and screening.
Yeah, and everything, all the septic haulers go through that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty expensive there. It's a $151 a ton, times 20 tons.
It's an increase of $25 a ton. We actually had gone down. I worked with the previous company to get them into the Gansworth landfill. They got into the landfill, they lowered our cost for the last 2 years. But due to fuel costs and the landfills increased their rates in March, and they've got a drastic increase due to fuel costs for their equipment. So, and we also locked it in for 2 years instead of bidding it every year. So that'll be locked in for the next 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, what I understand, we're locked into the contract, but I think next year we'll have to do another resolution just to, with these numbers, because I think we can only do I thought the resolution's good for 2 years? Okay. I thought I saw something from Debbie say you can only do
I didn't see anything. I saw it just, we did it for 2 years.
Yeah, I know we did that. Okay. Well,
Yeah, with
we'll
an
find out in a year.
option for- There's an option for a third year.
An option for third year. So, with that said, I have a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. As I said, there's no executive session.
How about Dave Klingbeil? What's happened with the Monroe? My sister-in-law went to the meeting last night or a couple of days ago, and they said in the meeting they were going to do sewage to Glens, but they don't have a contract, right?
They have a contract right now with Glens Falls to send what they have. You know, we're contractually obligated to take up to 190,000 gallons per day from Moreau.
Oh,
So we have the existing contract. It's whether they want to increase that number or not.
How much more capacity are they gonna need, you know?
Originally, they were
It
looking.
all depends on, let me see if
Go
I
ahead.
can interrupt, sorry. So it all depends on, right now, they are only sending us 70,000 gallons.
Oh, okay.
And they need quite a bit more of that capacity. But the they have created a line down Route 9 to come to us that they haven't purchased capacity for it, but it's unclear whether Moreau realizes that the capacity they have is for the other 5 little areas that they have had online. Does that make sense? So when they built this new thing, they already had capacity, and they haven't purchased any additional capacity for the new sewer line. So they are asking us, they had asked us 10 years ago to buy 1 million gallons worth of capacity. We signed a contract. They never paid us. That contract expired in June of 2021. They are threatening to take us to court. We actually have a hearing scheduled later this month to get an original finding from them for that. We are also separately going to be meeting with them where you all know that we're paying for an evaluation of the entire wastewater treatment plant, the value of the flow, the value of the capacity, and the cost of reconstruction that somebody would be. And we're ready to try to negotiate with Moreau. So it's a very convoluted thing. They have a contract to send us 190,000 gallons a year, and they only send us 70,000. But the 190,000 were for the first 5 districts that Moreau has, not the new district that they've got. But they're kind of confused. They know they need more capacity. How much more? They right now whenever they ask us, it's for a different amount. One point they wanted to buy 2 million gallons. One point they wanted to buy. Last one was 150,000 gallons that they want to buy from us. So it's a convoluted thing. And meanwhile, they have passed a resolution in their council that Chris can tell you about, where they've authorized themselves to spend up to $2 million, seeing how they could shift their sewage up the hill to Wilton. So they could spend up to $2 million on a study on sending how much it would cost them to build the pipe to send it up to Moreau up to Wilton, and then out to Saratoga. And if they choose to send it to Saratoga, then that'll have to be good enough. Meanwhile, we'll continue to negotiate with them.
They don't.
Did I answer the question well? Sorry?
Yeah, so they don't have sewage from the industrial park?
It depends on the industrial park whether it was figured out in their request to us over 10 years ago, the last time we sent one. So, Chris, did they have an industrial park when they signed the last contract for capacity with us?
Yes, they did, sir. The industrial park went in 1998, I believe, 1999, that time frame.
Okay.
So yes, they can send us sewage from there.
Okay.
But the Route 9 corridor that they're currently building, to the best of our estimation, they do not have any capacity purchase for it. But when we tell them that, they say, yeah, but we're only sending you 70,000 and we've already purchased 190. And we've said, well, your 190, when you bought that in the increments over the last 20 years, was all for sewer that you were building, not new sewer. But that argument is convoluted. We think it's illegal for them to give that capacity to the Route 9 corridor, but we're going to let the lawyers and the courts maybe figure that one out.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Bill. I just thought I'd give it a shot, make sure my understanding.
No, that was perfect, thank you.
Yes,
So we try to shift our capacity to different sewer districts.
As the mayor alluded to, yeah, they have 5 districts now that have that capacity, and I think they have their own legal battles trying to move that capacity from those 5 districts to any other one.
Right.
The way it works is, you build a sewer district, that sewer district buys the capacity, those users pay for that capacity.
Right.
You can't take the capacity that those taxpayers, those individuals have been using and give it to somebody else.
Right.
You have to reimburse people back. And I don't know what's going on in Monroe that way. That's up to them to decide how they're doing that. But I know you cannot do that.
We will be having a meeting with them. I believe you all know, being on the Water and Sewer Commission, that we've hired Matt Fuller
Right.
to work with us on this water and sewer negotiation with Monroe. And today we had a meeting with Matt and Karen Judd and David Klink. David couldn't make it, but he certainly gave input on it. And so we are probably within the next 2 weeks holding a meeting with Monroe's, with Todd Kuzneris and their attorney and our attorney, and to see if they would like to negotiate a deal. But the old deal for $1 million that expired in June of 2021, it's an expired deal, and we'll see what happens. Right? We may, they may walk away, but I believe you've all gotten copies of the Raftellus report. If you haven't, please let Bill know and we'll send it to you. It values our capacity without buy-in at about, I think, $18 a gallon. Is that right, Bill? Am I saying that right?
Well, it depends on whether there was initial buy-in or it was gonna go over reconstruction. And I don't think they
Correct.
received the report yet because it was still in the draft. We haven't gotten the,
Oh, right. Sorry, I apologize.
yeah, we haven't, because we just met with Raftellus to go over the draft report, put the final comments together. Once the report is completed, we'll be submitting that to the board when it's accepted
Fantastic.
and for its
That
acceptance.
should be soon, gentlemen. Great.
Any other questions?
Nope. Not for me.
As I said, I don't think we need an executive session. Everybody sees the next proposed meeting dates, June 6th already, and then June 20th. Flying by. With that said, I guess I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.